You know, most of the people that blame realtors for creating the market, the way the prices went up and this and that, I bet you 90% of those people making the comments don't own a home themselves or real estate.
Hey, welcome back to the Real Estate Podcast. I'm Adrian, and today we're discussing the year-over-year sales numbers from 23 to 24 and announcing the winner of our contest who got the closest answer to...
Closest prediction.
Enjoy.
Welcome to the Real Estate Podcast, your go-to source for raw, unfiltered stories and expert tips. Whether you're a buyer, seller, tenant, landlord, or realtor, join us as we dive into the world of real estate.
All right. How are you in a t-shirt?
I don't know why Jen asked me that too.
Bro, it's like minus 50 outside.
Oh, and when I'm outside, I'm not in a t-shirt. I'm wearing a jacket.
And you just throw your winter coat on top of your t-shirt?
Yeah.
Aren't your skinny little arms cold?
Check again, brother. These aren't skinny.
Answer the question, aren't you?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, not at all. That's the answer.
T-shirt in February.
Well, I mean, we're inside and it's...
I'm going to answer Adrian's question.
Which was what? Oh, your water.
About the water. Oh. He looks at the water. He said, is that from the fridge? I said, yes. So you won't be able to see this.
Anyways, it's cloudy. It's like slightly cloudy.
Like super clear, nothing floating, whatever. Mine looks cloudy. He asked, why is it cloudy? And I said, well, I have some lemon juice. I squeezed some fresh lemon in it and some salt, some Celtic sea salt. And he said, that's all. I said, I need to get hydrated this morning. He said, that's all nonsense.
It is nonsense.
Okay. So I'll send you some articles.
Oh, don't fucking send me any Dr. Gundry bullshit.
Hey, a lot of what he says is true. I don't know if there's any Dr. Gundry fans out there. But,
so water is water. Water is like the pinnacle of hydration. I think there's maybe some things you may need under extreme circumstances.
Electrolytes.
Sure. Like if you're just finished exercising or something to replenish what your body's burning off.
Well, you're replenishing the fact that you're dehydrated, especially after when you wake up.
Hydration is just water. You can live off of water your whole life.
The absorption,
but there's enough salt,
the nutrients,
everything else you consume.
You need. Well, you have your thing. I have mine.
I have facts.
You have facts.
Yeah.
We can compare. I will share you facts.
I will share you facts.
Okay.
All right. So today we're circling. It's been a long time. There's been several dozen people waiting for an answer for almost a year on our contest. We'll call it
contest.
That's a contest. There's an award involved.
Yeah, sure.
So last January, beginning of the year, we said, hey, what do you forecast the 2024 December prices to be relative to prices in 2023 in December? And we had several people chime in on Instagram giving their thoughts on the market. There was a total
of 135 comments.
Oh, I didn't even think it was that high.
Yeah.
And we put a $100 Visa gift card on the line.
Yeah. So we have the winner. We know who the closest was.
Yeah. I'd like to go through the comments.
Yeah.
Because
through the comments?
Yeah, because it's interesting. It's like some people are so confident and calling us names and saying you guys are idiots, and also people saying,
I don't know how many of those I saved, but I did.
Well, I've got the post here.
I did save some that I wanted to read out to you.
Okay.
Are you going to pull them up?
Yeah. I mean, go through the ones you've got if you'd like, and then I'll flip through some others.
Our friend Cameron Mackey from Dominion Lending said minus 3.2%. This is 54 weeks ago. I'm already seeing foreclosures and massive affordability issues. As for the past 6 months, most appraisals have been coming in low, among other things. So what he said actually held true for 2024. His percentage is off. There was I'll reveal, there was a reduction in year-over-year pricing. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of that. He said minus 3.2. There were some good ones. So somebody said $950K. So their $1 million home would be worth $950K.
I found it interesting that I think everyone is so conditioned over the last decade to real estate being a great investment, and it goes up astronomically.
Well, this next one I was going to read, 1.3. I'm aligned with Barbara Corcoran on her thoughts of rates coming down and market increase.
So that would be a 1.3% increase.
No, we did it on $1 million home. What would $1 million home be worth? She's saying 1.3 million. So
I think she's saying 1.3%.
Oh, maybe.
I don't think Barbara Corcoran would forecast a 30% increase. That's my thought.
One of them said 1.5 is my guess. See you in December 2024.
Yeah, I saw that one.
And I said a 50% increase. We'll give you the gift card and take you out for dinner if that happens.
Yeah.
And their response, looking forward to it, thumbs up. A lot of people predicted like the range on these comments. $1 million house today will sell for $850,000 a year from now. That was GAWDSOLIJAH. I don't know how to say any of that. And then we had some modest comments, 3%. It'll be $1,030,000 in December of 2024, but may also depend on location. This is a good point, but may also depend on location and what, if any, upgrades are done to it and on that street.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's one from C.A. Bennett, actually somebody we know. And she said, I'm thinking there will be a small increase. I say 1.15 to 1.2 million. So it's funny, though, that goes back to me saying, like, people are conditioned to thinking this 15 to 20% increase is small.
Right.
Right? Like, oh my God, give me that all day long.
Well, I don't think people necessarily think about it as percentages as a whole, right?
Or maybe
like,
not relating it to
it's easier
an
for
average.
somebody to say their $1 million home will be worth $1.1 million.
Right.
Right? And that's a 10% increase.
Right.
If you're giving me an average of 10% return on my money, like that's a good return.
Yeah.
Do you want to go through... Let's get into the numbers a little bit, because that's going to take us into the path that I want to talk about, which is kind of expanding on that comment that it is a little bit neighborhood specific. And I want to talk about how these numbers come up and what they mean to everybody.
Okay.
So this is your printout.
So I summarized it. So we we took Halton and Peel, and we looked.
I'm going to preface that though, because when we posted our 2023 post, when we had that podcast, we did not lay out the same specifics we did just a few weeks ago with our 2025 prediction. We just said $1 million average $1 million home. What does it sell for next year? Mm. We didn't get into the demographic or geographical breakdown.
We did.
Did we? Did we say Halton and Peel?
I believe so.
I watched it back yesterday. I don't recall that.
I remember I think we did. But anyways, I think, but
we're
even
going to keep it to that.
Even after doing this, it's hard to be specific, because last year I was thinking, okay, well, let's take $1 million home that sells this year and look at what it sells for next year. But it's you have to go on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So like these numbers, for example, I found you couldn't do the average December price in 23 versus the average sale price in December 24. There just wasn't big enough sample.
Right.
It's too easy for the numbers to be skewed. So you have to look at it for over the year, unless you happen to have two identical homes that were being sold, without one person being under duress and they were both equally marketed, et cetera. So the numbers we have are probably conservative, I think, when you look at the year, right? Because the decrease in January was less than it was in December.
So I'm going to say this about these numbers that we're going to talk about, but also numbers in general in this industry. They are sort of a guideline, like you can consider it almost like a baseline guideline, but they're not 100% accurate. Nowhere near 100% accurate because different information feeds into different boards, and there's also different homes that can skew a number, different averages. You're taking an average, but is that giving you 100% accurate information? Not necessarily. Is it giving you a picture of the market as a general? Yeah, I would say it's a pretty good indicator. These are the stats that you read about in the papers, as an example. But when you're out in this, doing business in real estate on a regular basis, what you realize is that the numbers can be skewed in any given time by some outliers. And what it also doesn't talk about, as we look at it for the year over year, we're comparing December 23 over December 24. There were outlier months through the year where if you compared April or May, I don't have those stats in front of me, but March, April, May, we saw a rise of prices. So that percentage would be way different at certain times of the year because you had some peaks and then you had some lows.
Well, these are year over year numbers. So
they're year over year. So they give you what you started with and what you ended up with.
Right.
So if I bought a stock a year ago and sold it today, that's the difference. But if I sold that in May when the price was higher, then that skews the numbers.
Yeah. So, just looking at, we looked at Brampton, Milton, Mississauga, and Oakville, and Burlington. Sorry, I don't know if I said that. Brampton, Burlington, Milton, Mississauga, Oakville. And the average year over year change between 23 and 24 was 1.58%, minus 1.58%.
Right.
And then if you look at the median, again, looking at both scenarios, because just to help blend the numbers a bit, because it's easy to skew, it was just a little bit more than negative 1.8%. So call it minus 1.7%.
Which for most people, they'd consider that flat.
Yeah.
Right? Went down 15 grand, 17 grand, 20 grand.
If at all, because I'm sure there were, like you're saying, there's some that did better than others.
Went up 15 grand, 20 grand. No big swings, which is good for the market. It's good for sellers to feel comfortable that their home's value stayed more or less the same.
Yeah.
And good for buyers that they understand, hey, I'm not going to get rich overnight, but I'm buying a house at a fair value. So that leads to a more balanced market.
Yeah. I'm just looking to see, because there was somebody here thought it would drop by 20% down to $800K for an average $1 million
Yeah, well,
home.
that's what I'm saying. The comments are wild.
Yeah.
We had anything from as low as $800K up to 2.3 million. Now, the 2.3 million person probably is, joking around, but even people saying 1.1, that's a 10% increase. So that's a 12% swing.
Yeah.
If you were a seller and you thought next year my home will be worth 1.1, but now it's only worth 985 grand, that's a bit of a swing.
Well, it's funny to see, there was one real estate agent, she had commented saying that she's already seeing prices increase. So I don't know what she was looking at, but that was an unlikely
So that's what I'm
scenario in
talking about, that
January.
it's market specific too,
Yeah.
and timing specific. So if we looked at it, like last year, very similar to this year, we're off to a very early spring market, quote unquote. So if you were looking at the numbers back in February in Milton and March and April and May, you could look at the numbers versus December and say, hey, we're going to increase year over year by the end of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you had some months that pulled back. Certainly September, October, you had a lot of desperate sellers, not a lot of buyers, people waiting for the interest rates to drop even further, people waiting on decisions for big ticket items, and average end of the year pulled it back.
Well, here's another agent out in BC. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Sargentson sold. How could it stay the same when borrowing money is about to get cheaper? Cheap money means more people will be buying homes. More demand equals higher prices. I'm with the 3 to 4% increase. But it's not always about rates. As we've seen, there was a lot of one consideration people didn't have is that tons of people with mortgages coming due, all the rates are coming down from where they were. They're renewing at a significantly higher rate, period. Like, it doesn't matter that it's coming down. There's tons of people, like I think it was 30-something% of mortgages are due to be renewed this year.
Yeah.
And it was not far off that number last year.
Yeah.
So rates may have been coming down, but people were still renewing or taking on mortgages at significantly higher rates than they were paying previously. Anyways, I just like the comments where people are criticizing us.
Well, they're not criticizing us. They're just bantering.
No.
Like
I mean from the perspective of
that we're wrong.
Blaming real estate agents for the being the problem.
Most of the people that blame realtors for creating the market, the way the prices went up and this and that, I bet you 90% of those people making the comments don't own a home themselves or real estate. Anyways, so we made our prediction for 2025.
Yeah, so drumroll, who's the winner of the $100 Visa gift card?
And let me say, that was as close of a comment, as accurate of a comment that we had. Over 135 comments between Instagram, YouTube. I checked on Facebook. I didn't see any comments on Facebook. Maybe we didn't even post it on Facebook.
I don't think so.
Anyways, Shaz_travels on Instagram, SHAZ_travels, said it will decrease by at least 1%. That was the closest.
Yeah.
1.58% average decrease year over year. So Shaz Travels, you're going to have a $100 Visa gift card on your travels because you won from a comment you made 54 weeks ago.
Which today versus a year
with
ago
inflation,
is
it's worth $42. Good luck buying a bag of apples with your $42. Seriously. Holy fuck, man. Groceries are expensive.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Like ridiculous. Off topic, but I want to have that chat because I was talking to one of our employees this morning about real estate and about having a goal and a budget to achieve that goal, and talking about household incomes and where does that money go. This is the conversation I have with a lot of first-time buyers and with investors. Where does your money go? We have spoken before about investment properties being some form of a forced savings, especially if it's not cash flow positive, if you're losing money every month. Where does the money go? I mean, you go now as a family of 4, it's almost impossible to spend less than $300-400 for the week.
For what?
For groceries.
Oh, for groceries. Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Well, I think...
And that doesn't include any luxurious things. It's just feeding your family 3 times a day, decent fresh stuff. But
we're talking if you're talking about first-time home buyers, though, they've got 1 or 2 mouths to feed.
Yeah, but generally they also make significantly less in terms of family income.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, they just have to be smart about how they spend their money. I see a lot of people eating out every day.
Prices of cars. Like, all of this affects your spend in the market. But anyway, if you're in the market now, it's a good time to be in the market.
Yeah, we've seen things are trending upwards, and we both predicted that it would be an upwards trend this year, which we don't usually agree on. So,
and first 4 or 5 weeks of the year so far, and
we've been very busy.
I mean, right out of the gate in January, we started, and I think I said this in a previous podcast. My predictor was during the holidays, everybody that's interested in real estate usually starts talking around that time about moving in 2025. Maybe they're doing some goal planning, financial setting, just talking around the dinner table with other family or friends about moving. And I started getting quite a few inquiries from past clients, referrals, followers during the Christmas break. I call it the Christmas break. And you did too. I know from the past 14 years of working alongside you that when I just get those calls and you don't, it means we're going to be off to a good start, but nothing, there's no outlier.
Yeah,
there.
If one of us are getting busier, it
doesn't mean anything.
Not an indication necessarily
Correct.
Of anything.
Yeah, and because I monitor this throughout the year, sometimes, I don't monitor it, but I noticed it.
Well, subconsciously we are gauging all this stuff.
But sometimes you'll have 3-4 listings on the go and I won't have any, and vice versa. And that's by chance, just timing. But when we both get busy at the same time during the Christmas break, I knew we are going to be looking at a super early, again, spring market, and that the market would pick up in terms of activity quite quickly, and it has. So, good signs. We'll see.
Looking forward to 2024.
We'll see in December if our prediction for that was accurate.
Yeah.
Watch that episode a few episodes ago.
Can we acknowledge that I was closer?
Okay, we were both wrong.
Okay, but who wins? I win.
Fine, you win. Adrian said it would be flat. I said it would be about a 3 to 4% increase, which if you look at certain segments like Milton detached homes, the number is much better.
Well, just to give people an idea. So if you look at Brampton detached average home year over year was minus 5%. And then when you go to some other areas,
Oakville too, a 4.7% decrease in detached homes year over year.
Yeah, and then there were some like Milton detached homes were basically flat, 0.15%.
Right.
So there, depending on where you are, there are little microclimates and
then it depends,
different areas.
Again, it depends on the seasonality of that. So you're just looking December over December, year over year, kind of like looking at it like a you would with a mutual fund.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, good start to the year. Good chat. Congrats, Shaz Travels.
How are we gonna? We can message him on Instagram, I guess.
Yeah, message them and see where they're at and how we can get. Comment if you're watching or listening to it.
Good chat.
See you next week.
See ya. Thanks for listening or watching to this episode of the Real Estate Podcast. If you've got a prediction for the next year and how we're going to fare in the real estate market, comment below and let us know. And don't forget to subscribe.